on number 12 we have a dilution. It even says diluting. That means we're going to use the M1V1 problem. The molarity times the volume the first time equals the moles of the first situation. And when you dilute something, the number of dissolved particles doesn't actually change. So the moles dissolved the first time equals the moles dissolved the second time, because all you did was add water. Now it's not as strong. The molarity will change. The M's will not match, but there's just as many dissolved thingies. So it says you started off with 25 milliliters of 6 molar HCl. So that's situation 1. And it tells you that the new situation at the end, situation 2, ends at 1.75 liters. And a common mistake is to leave this and just slap in 1.75, but that's in liters, and this was in milliliters. So they don't match until you change one of them. It doesn't really matter which one you change. Pick one. I'd already written 25 milliliters, so I decided to make this one 1750 milliliters. You can run it either way, really, because it will cancel out just right and give you the right answer either way. So the unknown is M2. What's the new molarity? This times this divided by that will give me M2. Well, technically it's the molarity of the HCl, but we know from previous video that HCl is a strong acid, which means all the H's will come off. So if you had 6 molar HCl, you had 6 molar H plus and 6 molar Cl minus, but no one really cares about the Cl minus when it comes to calculating pH. So let's do this mentally. And the molarity that we found is the molarity of HCl, but I don't care about the Cl, so let's just say it's the molarity of H plus, because that is also true. How do we find pH? We take the negative log of the previous answer, and we get our pH. 13. We put in a strong base and a strong acid and another strong acid. Now you may not remember what nitric acid is, but it's HNO3. I know it's been a long time since we had that quiz, but it's HNO3. So we have 1 gram of this and 1 gram of that. We put them together in water. Now if you put an acid and an acid together in water, they're not going to cancel each other out. They're going to add up. If you put an acid into another acid, it just gets more acidic. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the moles of this one. Here's the molar mass because I looked it up. Here's the molar mass because I looked it up. We're going to find the moles of each. And then say, you know what though, for the purposes of pH, let's not consider the Br minus. Let's not consider the NO3 minus. Let's just take that as the moles of H plus. And I'm not cheating, that is actually true. If you had 10 of these, you'd also have 10 H pluses, wouldn't you? So the molarity of the HBr is also the molarity of the H plus. And then we got even more H plus in there. And H plus just adds up. It doesn't cancel out. So these moles add up to these moles, which gives me that moles. Except for pH, what I need is molarity, not moles. And a really common mistake, which I've done, is to just take that number and do negative log. But that's not right. We have to take moles per liter, and that's supposed to say liters, isn't it? There we go. And this divided by 5 is this molarity of H plus. How do we get pH? Negative log of that answer will get me pH. 14 is a real simple one. They just handed me that's supposed to be molarity, the molarity of a strong acid, and all the H's will come off. So this molarity is also the molarity of the H plus, isn't it? They just told me straight out. This is basically back to the beginning. And how do we take pH? Negative log of that value will get me pH. Here we have another acid. Excuse me, no, we have an acid added to a base. Now, let's review something. If I had 10 H pluses and 6 OH minuses, just for easy numbers, they would start combining until I ran out of one of them. They would make water because H and OH makes H2O. Well, I'd add 3 to 6 of those and I'd get 6 waters, which would leave 4 of the H pluses unreacted, wouldn't it? So will use them up until one of them runs out. How many H pluses will I have left over? Essentially, we'll take the big minus the small and we'll get the amount left over.